Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Thursday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. Andy Humphrey and Brendan Schaefer here. Happy Thursday. Hopefully you've already stocked up on all the essentials for the snowstorm that's coming here in town. And not too much more time. Already under the winter storm warning, by the way, in Missouri. Already. The snow's not technically supposed to come for another at least 24 hours or so.
You'll be lucky if there's any bread and milk left by the time you get to the grocery store this time. I mean,
yeah.
We gotta panic. No, it could be a doozy depending on how things break down. So yeah, get the essentials, which is just like what? Enough beer for championship Sunday. I don't know.
I mean,
what are the essentials? That's what I did. We made our
essential
store trip yesterday, and I was like, well, while I'm here, if I don't get out of the house again until after this thing blows over, let's just get a 6-pack. Make sure we're prepared. You do have to be prepared. They say, stay prepared.
That's what they taught me in Boy Scouts, right? So
and I wasn't a Boy Scout, but I did pick that up. I did pick that part up.
You knew why that was important, that mantra anyway. So that's good. And hopefully you're doing the same thing. In the meantime, we're glad you're with us as we talk some sports. We'll have our SEC basketball tiers today. And I have no clue how we're going to sort them out.
I'm so mad that we're doing this. It's going to be impossible.
It is impossible.
This is just a complete topsy-turvy SEC this year, no doubt about that.
We'll see how many tiers we even have for this league coming up at 5:05. Eli Drinkwitz had a bat signal early this morning that he tweeted out, and as of now, we don't really know what it's attached to. I mean, we have guesses, but we don't really know. Usually we know by now, but we'll discuss the possibilities, I suppose, coming up in a few minutes. We'll talk some MLB, couple of trades in the last 24 hours in Major League Baseball. There are some eye-opening ones, and does that mean that we'll see more trades pick up? And are the Cardinals involved in any of that? Is Brendan Donovan involved in any of that? 425. We'll talk about that. 875-KTGR if you want to give us a call or text. You can also tweet us at KTGR Big Show. We're live on YouTube and Facebook right now, youtube.com/@KTGR Sports and Facebook.com/KTGR Big Show. You can leave comments below and we'll flash them on the screen. Wrong button.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
I was ready to go under the bus. I'm already going to honk the horn on me for that. So I guess the update is there is no update on games that will be happening at Mizzou this weekend. No word really on the basketball game Saturday at 1 o'clock. It's still scheduled for that time for Mizzou men's basketball against Oklahoma. Still no word even on some of the other events that are happening this weekend. Mizzou women's basketball has a home game Sunday at 5. Mizzou wrestling is at home for a couple of duels this weekend. So we wait and see what the contingency plans, if there need to be some, will be for Mizzou as the winter storm comes in. But we do know tonight there will be a game for Mizzou women's basketball. Tigers taking on number 18, Ole Miss. Coverage at 6:15 here on KTGR. That's the Big Show's Big Deal on this 22nd day of January 2026. Give us a call or text at 573-875-KTGR.
I don't think any of those games are happening this weekend.
Really?
Not telling Tiger fans to just, change their plans, but it feels as though you might want to be aware of, like, by tomorrow, don't you think they'll have to start to get some information out there? It could get a little dicey if the storm isn't really moving until by the time it's game day for some of these events, and then it's just the travel conditions could potentially be rough. So that's all I'm saying is keep apprised. Hopefully we get some information. I obviously they're trying to figure with this winter storm that's going to track through, is it going to maybe hit further south than people expect, further north, and that would obviously probably change the expectations. But yeah, it could seemingly be a big doozy. So I don't know. I got a feeling that we might have some scheduling changes about this weekend.
I mean, there are some things that have been moved, like the smaller events, not quite Mizzou athletics events. I know Columbia College canceled their games for basketball on Saturday. There's a bunch of high school games that are moving. Not necessarily. Some are moving by day. I know that Jeff City is hosting Ozark a day earlier than they were going to. They were going to host them tomorrow night. Some teams are still having games tomorrow, but maybe moving them up a little bit earlier. Look, I'm no meteorologist. It does seem that Saturday is the day when it kind of starts. It seems like late Friday night, very early Saturday morning is when you'll probably start to see it in Columbia. I know they did up the projected snowfall amounts today.
What's
National
the
Weather
number?
Service did.
What's the line?
It's 6 to 12. I mean, that's a big one. Usually,
big
though,
range.
there is sometimes, an overshoot by
Sure.
some forecasters just to make sure, like, hey, let's take
it
this seriously. Be careful, everything like that, and maybe
And
it doesn't.
again, I
end
think
up being
it will
that way.
be snowing. It's just if it goes a little further north, it snows more for us. If it tracks further south, that same amount of moisture, precipitation, what have you, ends up hitting the southern states more so than up in mid-Missouri. So that's really like it's going to snow somewhere, and the reason they probably have to say, "Hey, be ready for a big one," is because if that tracks our way, then you'd hate to have people be flat-footed and not prepared for that possibility. So hopefully it is one of those, honestly, where you end up saying, "Oh my gosh, they blew it out of proportion and nothing ever happens." Well, if that's the case, then I think everybody would be a little safer because it could end up being a big one. So we'll see.
We will see. Call or text us at 875-KTGR. Now, look, it is hard to move these games even for things like this in the SEC. It took a lot. I know in past years to do it. They have moved for snow before at Mizzou within the last few years or so. I can recall a Florida game that happened on a weekday at like 3:00. And I think that was not even a COVID thing either. I think it was legitimately because of the weather. But again, like these, it does take a lot to move them. And I think they're more, they'll mostly be concerned about the teams getting in and out.
I was going to say travel for OU is
obviously probably the most important thing. And so I would assume that they leave sometime tomorrow, and then there's not really going to be snow falling tomorrow, at least here.
No, but it would hit them first.
Not
right?
sure. I'm not sure about what they're doing or if they need to leave early or something like that. But as long as they get here, I would think that they might still play the game because, it probably means that folks in Missouri that come from St. Louis or Kansas City for the games probably don't make it.
That'd be a sparsely attended affair, I reckon.
Probably, but folks will just watch it on TV, right? And that's a lot of what the SEC kind of
that
cares
home court advantage is a thing, man.
That's true.
That environment for the Georgia game, you could tell through TV that was a good one.
Absolutely. And so, we'll see. And what that means for the other sports like women's basketball on Sunday, wrestling plays tomorrow night and Sunday. Yeah, I don't know. But we'll keep you apprised of anything that might change on the Mizzou athletics schedule because of the snow coming into town very soon. Or expect
maybe we'll get a snow bat signal too.
It seems that's already out. we already have
the bat signal is done.
That's like the emergency alert system, I believe is what that is.
Is that what they call that?
Which is
I like snow bat signal better. I thought that was
there you go.
That was a lot.
Well, we had one of those earlier today to alert you that there will be a winter storm watch and warning eventually this weekend in mid-Missouri. So be ready for that. Be prepared, as we said earlier, for anything that might come our way. In the meantime, we'll talk about bat signals and Eli Drinkwitz's bat signal earlier this morning, Brendan.
Yeah, so be prepared for what should we be prepared for?
Who is this for?
Yeah, it's more of a who than a what.
Right? Yeah. Look, he was up early today. It
was an early tweet.
Yeah,
right?
5:45 in the morning, right? That's when he tweeted out this bat signal and okay, we're ready. We'll probably learn sometime this morning. We'll see somebody's social media get updated with all this Mizzou garb and be like, I'm 100% committed or something like that.
Keep the Thamel tweets, on notification, right? Well, nothing yet. There's never been There's never been an errant bat signal before, has there?
No. Not that I can recall, at least.
No, I don't think that would be a thing. It's never happened before. There is a situation, though, that's kind of interesting going around in college football.
Yeah.
It's the eligibility question of Trinidad Chambliss, right? They're trying to figure out. There's always like a judge has to rule, and they got to counter sue, and it's always I just wait for them to tell me if he's eligible.
Can he play? Can he not play?
Can he play? Can he not play? I guess the thought is if he can play, you may have the receiver because the tweets have come out about Caden Lee, but this has been several days ago, was expected to enter the transfer portal, but that I don't know if that ever.
Pete Nakos of On3 did tweet late last night that he is officially in. So
like, all right, if he's in the transfer portal and Austin Simmons is tweeting out honeycomb related imagery,
yeah,
and that's evidently the nickname for Caden Lee, then like that would be the dots I would look to connect. But because of the weirdness as it pertains to Chambliss, like I would wonder if that would be part of the reason for the delay, or if like there is no delay. This is just, whatever. They didn't make the graphic yet, and it's going to be Caden Lee. Like that. That's what I'm curious to see. But that would be a nice get if that ends up being the result of this. I don't have like another guess either. Like that's my first and only guess as to what Eli Drinkwitz could have been referencing with that tweet this morning. So I'm hoping that's what it is.
It would make the most sense, right? With the tweet from Nakos late last night, and I would think that if
after
the reporting is to be believed and the Austin Simmons tweets and social posts are to be believed, that they would get on this pretty quickly once he is in the portal and be all right, scoop him up.
By the way, I thought you couldn't enter the portal anymore. Is it like the basketball thing where there's really no rules, and if you're a little late, it's fine?
You had to declare your intent to enter the portal on Friday.
Yeah.
And then schools, I think, technically the school has to enter you into the portal. Weird. I know.
Why?
And it's just, but they get an extra couple of days or whatever to file that paperwork. There was a holiday Monday, and so there's an extra day for that. And I guess late last night was the deadline to have the paperwork in. So seems that's happened for Caden Lee. Yeah.
Ole Miss waits till the last possible second because any number of times over the past week, conceivably, they could have found out that Chambliss is eligible. And if that had happened, then they could turn to Caden Lee and say, hey, are you sure about this let's put this whole transfer portal business behind us. Like, I'm sure that's what they were trying to do.
I mean, Caden Lee can always enter the portal and then take his name out.
He
right?
can, but it's a lot easier to. It's a lot harder to leave if it never actually gets submitted.
True. That would be a whole other deal, though, if he wanted to leave and then his team doesn't do it.
Whole other deals.
I get it. There's no rules.
If Ole Miss didn't have to do it until late last night, that's when they were going to wait, just in case the Chambliss news came in a positive way, that they could end up, asking him if he'd like to reconsider that. And then it's, just a safeguard against him potentially leaving if he changes his mind. But yeah, if it's been filed and there was no funny business associated beyond that little bit of gamesmanship, then hopefully he's a weapon for Austin Simmons in the Mizzou receiving corps next year. Because I think like that would really spice things up. Caden Lee plus Alubade, Brett Norfleet. They added Goody to kind of replace Marquise Johnson. Like you'd be cooking with that receiving corps, I think, if you added a solid talent like Caden Lee.
Like again, so let's dive into that. If that is the addition, if that is in Mizzou's future, they add Caden Lee, and let's say that's it. Like for the offense, at least.
That's your offense, yeah.
That's your offense. You've got your guys. You cool with that? Like,
I am.
Yeah, you are? Okay.
Yep, I think I am. You may be a little thin in terms of like marquee starting caliber pieces and like what happens if there's an injury, because there always is. But I also think that they will probably still add another piece somewhere along the way. I know the portal is closed to new entries, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's like they signed how many running backs in this cycle, right? They don't need 4 running backs, but that's how many they have. The lesser tiered names, you'll get your, who was it last year? They brought in Xavier Lloyd out of Illinois State.
Right.
We didn't really see him play until I think he had a catch in the bowl game. But those, like, they'll probably to fill out the room type of additions. But yeah, if like you're talking about, your starting offense, your de facto go-to offense has Caden Lee and Olubade lining up on the outside, and it's trying to figure out a way to utilize the speed of Caleb Goody with the two running backs that are returning, with Brett Norfleet, who's returning, with Austin Simmons calling the show. Yes, I would be satisfied with that offense and feel like that puts them in a position to have some success if they're right about the quarterback.
Yeah, they're right about the quarterback, which is a huge if. It's similar to last year. You're kind of banking on something that hasn't quite been shown to a consistent degree yet.
That's a fun comp, though. Is it similar to last year? Like
similar,
like
but not
same
identical.
Level of unknown, I guess, about Austin Simmons versus Bo Pribula.
I'll say similar, but not identical. I think with this situation, you have a little more info in the sense of there was an SEC coaching staff out there that determined that Austin Simmons was worthy of being our starter. And that means something.
One that ultimately reached the national semifinal, whatever that means to you. I know they didn't do it with Austin Simmons as their quarterback, but it tells you the caliber of that role was to be taken seriously because they felt as though they had a roster that could compete at the highest level this year. And then ultimately they went out and did that, albeit with a different starting quarterback after the injury to Simmons. But no, that's a good point. It's like this wasn't Mississippi State picking their quarterback. This was a team that ended up with a different quarterback, but the same roster that they were comfortable having Austin Simmons lead at first ends up making the Final Four of the college football playoff. All right, that's something to me. And I think the arm talent is, I'm a little more sure about it. With Bo, it was we hope he can throw.
Right.
And with Austin Simmons, he's going to be able to throw. I think, is he going to be able to make decisions consistently at a high enough level to maximize his potential as the signal caller? That's maybe more the question rather than physically the arm talent.
And that is a very similar question to what Bo Pribula was, because we saw Bo Pribula's ball security issues be played out all of last year. And Simmons 4 touchdowns to 5 picks in the limited action that he got. You'd like to see that get cut down a lot with that ratio.
I'm glad you didn't say a little.
No, not a little.
Cut that down a little. No, you're a lot.
I know I said a lot of the time there, but just now, but it was necessary. Look, you do have a little more proof of concept, just a little. But I think it is. That's why I feel like going into this year, they'll probably still build a competition, right? Like they usually do. But look, all the quarterbacks that we brought in, all our scholarship guys, are going to get a shot. We're going to see how they do, and we'll name a starter at some point. Austin Simmons, I would guess, has a lot more of a leg up than Bo Pribula probably did in his race going in.
And I think Bo Pribula had a leg up for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
I think it was going to play out that way. We'll never know 100% because of the injury that happened to Sam Horn. But I feel like Simmons is probably, if Bo was like a 60-40 or a 65-35, you can tack on another 10 to 15% to the likelihood for Austin Simmons. And I think that's where you land coming in.
And we'll see. 573-875-KTGR. James texted in. Hopefully Goody is a goodie.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I mean,
I think of all of them, actually, he's more the one that I don't question what he is. I think he's kind of
really,
he's going to be that deep ball go route specialist, and I'm cool with that. I think there's room for that in the offense, especially if everything we're hearing about the arm talent for Simmons is to be believed. I want a guy that can go fast, run straight, and get underneath a long lob from the left-handed quarterback. I think that's a good thing to have. But I also am managing my expectations to say, he might not be a lot more than that. In my head, I'm thinking expectation-wise, one trick pony. But if he is, it's a pretty good trick. And then you're hoping that Olubade and Caden Lee, if he's here, are the ones that are maybe a little more multifaceted.
Yeah, that is a missing piece. And if it does come into place for Mizzou and however much time, next few days or whatever, or even today, who knows? That's your Kevin Coleman replacement. I understand that Olubade could be your best receiver on this team, and certainly you hope for that with the way that he broke out as a freshman last year and could potentially take another step. But the proof of what Caden Lee is could be so beneficial, again, to a quarterback that's into a new situation, has not had a full year as a starter yet, even though he was named a starter earlier at his old school. You're asking him to elevate a bunch of guys around him. And like, you're not worried about him and his connection with Lee, should he be here, but like, you want him to elevate Olubade. You want him to elevate Horatio Fields and Caleb Goody and some of those other guys. Because those receivers are coming into a spot after some production, but maybe not the best on their own team from either of the years that they have played college football.
Yeah. Yeah. And Caden Lee, by the way, 44 receptions, 635 yards, 3 touchdowns this year. Went 5 for 67 in the semifinal loss to Miami. So he was an involved player. It's not necessarily like when you pick up a guy who, well, he was a 4-star. Well, what's that really mean if he's not really produced? Like, that's a pretty good production profile for this season in an offense that did spread it around. I mean, Ole Miss had a number of receivers that were involved, but he was certainly was noted on the list.
And look, even through all of that, I think you're still depending on Mizzou to be a run first team.
Yeah, that's
so
the thing,
like you're set there pretty much. Offensive line,
if they can be 85% as good throwing the ball as they are running the ball, doesn't mean that that's the breakdown of how often they do it, but that threat being there. Because by the time you got to the end of this season, I mean, there was no pass threat.
No.
Whatever the run offense was accomplishing, it was doing it with the defense full well knowing it was going to face a run play just about every time. That's what made it so impressive. Imagine if there's a real legitimate, as a defense, you're like, there's a 50% chance they run it here, 50% chance they pass it here, and you have to defend that. I think that would make a huge difference.
For sure. 875-KTGR, give us a call or a text. James says, with Brabula at the end of last year and Zowers in the bowl game, we had the downfield passing attack of an 8th grade team.
It did kind of look like, sometimes, Andy, you'll call one of those high school games and you'll be like, man, they're really good offense. But then you look up and you go, oh, the running back ran it 29 times. That's how they scored 50
You'll
points.
See that a lot.
You'll see it a
high
lot.
School game. Yep.
It's nothing wrong with it at that level. I mean, that's you're playing to win, and the kids that play wide receiver on those teams are probably going to get a lot of experience blocking. But that's not really the way you want it to go down at the SEC level. You got to have more balance than Mizzou did toward the end.
That's the hope. We'll see if Mizzou strikes that on offense. And then on the defensive side, you got to hope that at least a couple of players step up into some key roles and play well for you, because you don't have the proven starters like you had a year ago. And we'll see if Mizzou's maybe even able to add from the portal in the next few days on that front.
Reports say they're working on it.
Hey,
so
we'll see. We'll be waiting to hear the official news, but call or text us with what you think about it. 573-875-KTGR. Eli Drinkwitz had a bat signal nearly 12 hours ago, but we don't know for sure what it's attached to. So we'll wait to see if there's any update on it. In the meantime, you can speculate with us at 875-5847. Up next, Brendan Donovan is still a Cardinal. The thought was that he would be traded as long as the Cardinals got a good enough offer for him that they just couldn't turn down. Could that be coming soon based on some of the deals that we've seen struck in Major League Baseball here recently? That's next here on The Big Show, KTGR.
Follow The Big Show on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And keep it here on your total sports station, KTGR.
It was 1 p.m. on a Monday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing and Restoration answered the call. It was a panicked family with a mouse problem. Well, a mouse/plumbing problem. Their toilet was more backed up than the connector at 63 and I-70. But Brian's team eventually plucked out the problem. It was a mouse, but like the computer kind, which the family then asked if they could keep afterwards. We didn't ask why. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
Hi, my name's Robin Fletcher. I've smoked for 46 years. I went to a seminar in March 27th and seen Mark. My best friend came with me. We both went to it, and neither one of us smoked a cigarette in almost 7.5 months. I took my 3 sisters and my brother-in-law and my sister's best friend and them went. None of them have smoked a cigarette, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
My name is Jen Carpenter. I went to a Mark Patrick seminar, the Stop Smoking, and it worked. A friend of mine also went, and he still no longer smokes, and it was just amazing.
Lose weight or stop smoking with Hypnosis Guaranteed, only $59.99 or your money back. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all or your money back. Stop Smoking Hypnosis, 8 p.m. on Tuesday, February 3rd at the Capitol Plaza Hotel and Convention Center in Jefferson City, or 8 p.m. on Wednesday, February 4th at the Holiday Inn Columbia East in Columbia. Registration 30 minutes before. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
Hi, we're Midway Electric. When winter hits, electrical issues can turn serious fast, at home or at your business. That's why you need a trusted local team that shows up, solves the problem, and stands behind the work. From whole home generators and security systems to everyday service and repairs, Midway Electric has you covered. And now through January, get $500 off a whole home generator installation to keep you powered up no matter the weather. Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
Hey, y'all, it's Molly from Billiards. Wishing you a happy new year. You know I've had my resolutions since November, an apple a day. I was very diligent for about a week. We all know that resolutions are hard to keep. So how about a new challenge? Eat a billiards burger a week in 2026. I do.
Looking on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway.
An apple a day. I'm just going to make a pie.
I'm Tyler, and I've been a marketing consultant with Zimmer Communications. I joined Zimmer because my background was in helping local businesses grow in their marketing. It's cool working here because I get to work with people that I can actually call my friends, and it's a really encouraging environment. I think the energy is good because we enjoy working together. Everybody on the team brings something unique to the table so that we're building on each other's strengths. It's a great place to be because they give you all the tools you need to be successful.
If you're up for the challenge, apply now at ZimmerCommunications.com.
From the trainers to the coaches, the equipment managers to the players and fans, it takes a whole team to be truly successful. Hi, this is Sophie Cunningham, and if you're looking for the best team of jewelers in Columbia, it's Betts. Their staff has years of experience handcrafting jewelry, and when you combine that with the newest technology, it gives Betts Jewelers the ability to truly wow their customers. So talk to the team at your hometown jeweler today. Betts Jewelers in downtown Columbia.
These beautiful moments begin at Betts. Begin at Betts.
Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
A little bit of news. NFL coaching hire, Jesse Minter, the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens next year. It would appear. Is that official? Yeah, that's official. So there you go. Ravens bring in Jesse Minter. He was the Chargers defensive coordinator last couple of seasons. He was with Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, also their defensive coordinator when they won the national championship. I saw this video resurface on social media too. The video of him waving goodbye to Ohio State's bench after they had beaten them in one of their head-to-head games. And that's, in essence, what Jesse Minter did to the Cleveland Browns. He canceled their interview. He's like, no, I'm going to go to the Ravens, which is smart.
If you're taking, we've seen it where a coach does that and then takes an OC job, Mike McDaniel going to the Chargers. And now Minter, definitely makes sense if you're going to get another head coaching job, and they'll do it in the same division. The Ravens, as much as I don't think they're in a perfect situation, they're in a much better situation than Cleveland. I am intrigued to see who ends up taking that Cleveland job, because with so many people turning down the opportunity already, that kind of colors you in a little bit of a different light as to, do they have to take somebody that wouldn't have otherwise had a head coaching opportunity, or is it somebody who's really stubborn and is like, no, I've got a big enough ego, I can win here. That'll be interesting.
That is an interesting hire with Jesse Minter entering into that situation. They do need better defensive play, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess the right side
head coach,
right side of the football to be helped out by the head coaching hire. And then you'll worry about the offense with Lamar Jackson there. That's easier.
And they'll hire a coordinator, right? I would assume
that
Todd Monken is in talks with, I mean, maybe the Browns hire him. Who knows? But
I thought he was following John Harbaugh to New York.
Is that official? Okay.
I wasn't sure if that was official. Yeah, I think I just seen it as thrown out there, but I didn't follow up on it.
I saw that yesterday he interviewed again with the Browns. So that's from the Cleveland Browns website. So, maybe nothing official there. You know who's going to land on his feet in all of this, I feel like, is Brian Dable. Like,
yes.
I feel like he could very well end up in a nice spot somehow.
Maybe he coaches the Bills.
That would be really funny. Yeah. And probably not the worst thing, No. I don't think that would be so bad.
I mean, they also kind of need, I would think, the defensive help. Maybe that's lent to it, but they also need wide receiver help, as they clearly pointed out in the press conference.
Well, Sean McDermott pointed it out, but they fired him for that.
Oh, that's right. Problem solved, man. There you go. So,
but he was right. He was right about the way Brandon Beane was not doing his job.
Yeah.
And yet he ends up getting the axe, and Brandon Beane is like promoted to football czar. Bet they'll be drafting a wide receiver this year.
Yeah, I think so.
At some point in the draft, you'd think.
At number 27?
Yeah, I mean, that would be their first crack at it. Even a second-round pick isn't the worst idea in the world, but the hit rate is a lot lower. But they drafted Keon Coleman, what was that, end of the first round? And don't seem to be pleased with their selection a couple of years later.
At least their owner isn't.
It's just, I've never seen it like that for a guy who, it's not like the post-mortem on his Bills career. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe they'll flat out cut him. But he played in the game that caused Terry Pagula to decide, my quarterback was crying in the locker room at the end. That made me feel sad. I'm going to fire Sean McDermott. That's basically what he said as far as his decision-making process was. Yeah, it was based on the result in Denver. And he talked about seeing Josh Allen crying in the locker room and how that really affected him. It's just bizarre. The player Keon Coleman is still on the team, and they're talking about him like he was the smoking gun that something had to change in Buffalo. It's bizarre that they are so open about that, and he's just catching shrapnel during that press conference.
It was so bizarre, but good luck to whoever decides to go take the Bills head coaching job and deals with that.
That's another reason that Dable makes sense, because you already have at least some familiarity with the folks involved in this. Because if you don't, and you saw that press conference and you've got other options, why would you be taking the Buffalo job unless the answer is simply Josh Allen and he's just good enough that you can overlook some of the other issues? That seems like a completely dysfunctional situation to be walking into if you don't already know the lay of the land a little bit, which Brian Dable very well may.
Right. I mean, to us, it seems that way, but also kind of equated to the, say, the LSU coaching job. Like, do you want to have the governor over your head and all that? But it's still LSU, right? It's still a great job. I think the Bills is, maybe not to what LSU is to college football, but again, you've got the quarterback figured out. You just got to put a few better players around him, see what you've got on defense, maybe make a good hire in the coaching realm there. You do have to be in Buffalo, but I guess indoors now, that's an indoor stadium now, isn't it?
It is, and I do wonder if that changes the way they can. I mean, Josh Allen pretty much does Josh Allen stuff regardless, but does he level up now playing half his games in the dome setting? That'll be interesting to find out.
Call or text us at 875-KTGR. Again, the news, Jesse Minter is the next head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, coming over from the Chargers after being their defensive coordinator for a couple of seasons. Okay, trades happening in Major League Baseball, too. My gosh, the Mackenzie Gore trade. Yeah.
Well, but 5-for-1, right? That's the final lay of the land, but I don't really know that were there some real premium prospects dealt. I know the number 12 pick was traded from a year ago,
but I believe nobody in the whatever the rankings is, the MLB top 100, I think, or something like that. No, Rangers didn't give anybody up in that space. I mean, within their
Crazy.
organization, they had some top 10 guys, but still, like, as far as the whole landscape, nobody in the top 100, but they still get Mackenzie Gore, right? I mean,
who's a really good player. He was the headliner, though, of the Soto deal, was he not?
True.
Like, when that trade happened, it was kind of similar where we're like, wow, lots of names for not a lot of names. And Mackenzie Gore at the time was, maybe he had graduated from prospect status. I can't quite remember if he had debuted at the time, but he was very green in his MLB career, was a regarded prospect on the way up. And now he's established himself in his career. And now they're basically saying, let's do it again. But I don't know if you're getting quite the same bang for your buck this time. And he's got a couple of years of team control remaining, I thought. I don't think he's in his final year, but they're getting again quantity, and we'll find out about the quality, I suppose.
I suppose with the Nationals, but it is right to do it again when the last trade that you made with Soto, and look, that was, I thought, a great deal for the Nationals.
It was a good trade.
That's your foundation now. Build upon that. But now a big piece of that foundation is that you're doing the exact same thing. And now are you doing it again?
DC, you're a big market. Like, you could spend.
Right.
I don't know where they'll rank on payroll, but if you like Mackenzie Gore enough, maybe they just don't. Maybe they've seen he's had injury issues in the past and said, hey, he's healthy now, and this is the time to move him because we can get a lot for him. And look, if this trade goes right, and we're looking at it similarly to the Soto deal for them, where they got a haul in that trade. Maybe that's the final push they needed to really be able to feel they're back to being competitive in a pretty strong division. I mean, we know the Mets are always going to spend. The Phillies have a really good core, and the Braves are, I don't think going anywhere anytime soon with the way that they have built that team controlled roster with the guys signing early extensions. I know they had a down year, but maybe they feel like it's not time to go all in yet. Maybe it's a little bit like the Cardinals, where they're saying, hey, we do like some of our young talent, but it's not time to push all our chips to the center of the table, especially when you've got the potential, whatever you want to call it, it's a work stoppage that's looming. And nobody knows what's going to be on the other side of that if baseball is even played in 2027. So maybe that's the thought process here, and I'll be very curious to see relative to the way that it impacts the Cardinals. Like, do they look for something similar with the Brendan Donovan situation, or do they decide to hold him and let it play out?
Well, if you're getting a type of deal, like, would you say the recent deals that we've seen, like not just the Mackenzie Gore one, but also Freddie Peralta going to the Mets, and I think they gave up 2 minor league prospects and I think a major league pitcher to get him. Like, would you say the returns on that is likely that it could up for Donovan at some point, or does it even matter, you think?
I don't think it matters as much there because it's positionally very different. You're talking about 2 ace pitchers, or ace level pitchers that you're hoping to front line a rotation. Jet Williams is a nice shortstop prospect that goes to the Brewers in that deal. I'm sure he will be a superstar. The Brewers seem to always know when to cut bait on a guy. They do it better than anybody, and they're never really not contending. And so is there a right time to trade away one of your star pitchers? I don't know, but they just decided again that they're going to do it. Brandon Sproat will probably join that rotation, and he looked like sort of an afterthought with the Mets, and he'll probably be a frontline guy with them because that's the way these things tend to work out for Milwaukee. But because it's a little apples and oranges because of the headliner of those deals, in both cases, Mackenzie Gore and Freddie Peralta was pitching. And with Donovan, I don't really know where the markers are, but it feels like a lot of the pieces that have needed to find homes in the infielder conversation have done so. I mean, even the Cardinals have found a way to unload Arenado. And so now what's left other than, Ketel Marte is staying put, that they said they're not trading him in Arizona. What's left? And I guess for the Cardinals, it'll be, we know what's out there. Like, I'm sure they've received offers. They've been having conversations. Is there something that was close and they have to decide if, like, that's the best we're going to get? Are we taking it? Or are we going into spring training with Brendan Donovan? At winter warmup on Saturday, Chaim Bloom on this topic said, when you have a situation and a player's still here, that generally means, not always, but generally means that they're likelier than not to still be here. Like, he's here. And so that was the first language I've heard to where it's like, yeah, they really might not trade him. But again, it could be just the posturing of knowing, hey, there's a team that wants him. We know they want him, and they just haven't quite met our ask yet. And once they do, we're going to make the move. Maybe that comes in the days ahead. I'm going to openly hope that it doesn't, though, to be honest with you. Like, I think maybe despite their best efforts, Brendan Donovan staying as a Cardinal, and then the Cardinals, being a little bit ahead of schedule this year to where they might be open-minded to extending him before trading him down the road would be the best thing, because I think Brendan Donovan's a winning player. So I kind of want to see, unless they're really getting overwhelmed, which is how they're treating this, I think, maybe you just keep him. I don't know.
I'd probably keep fans on board, right? For how much as you can. Like with
helps your clubhouse if you're trying to build something. I think he's the kind of guy you want in there. I know that it's kind of like he's a middle infielder, never going to hit 30 home runs, kind of borderline all-star type of guy on the field, but he's a lot off the field too. I think that carries value. And is a really good winning player. Like if Brendan Donovan's your fourth or fifth best player, that's how you're a legitimate contender. I think right now he's kind of the Cardinals' best player, and that's maybe the rub is that they feel to be able to get players above his production level, they might have to trade him to take a couple, lottery shots at acquiring that guy. But they're going to be drafting toward the top of the draft, I think, in the next few years. So I'm not closed-minded to the idea that they could sign him to a reasonable extension, but if they're blown away, they will definitely take the offer. We just got to see if anybody, there's probably like 2 or 3 teams, whether it's the Giants or the Mariners or the Royals, that are kind of like tiptoeing around, and the Cardinals are biding their time, waiting to see if anybody gets serious about an offer. That's my guess.
Yeah, no Giants have been bandied about as a possibility. And if they were able to do that, it almost like solidifies one of the best infields period in baseball with what they've already got. And so again, whatever it's worth it to them, if they want to go ahead and push for it this year, it's on the table.
And I have said, we don't really know yet, but I think Buster Posey's going to do a great job in terms of, running that team.
Mm-hmm.
And don't you think Brendan Donovan, Tony Vitello would be a good match? Like, I don't have any real reason for saying that, but I feel like that's the type of, I don't know. I feel like Brendan Donovan would just
the vibe, the vibes around it
would play for a manager like that. And really, they both are competitors, intense competitors, want to win, but I imagine that, if you're Tony Vitello, you want guys like that in your room, veterans in your room, to make it even easier as you kind of make that transition from the college game. I don't know. I don't think that would be a bad fit at all.
It is interesting. I just did point blank pitchers and catchers report. February 12th, 16th?
Yeah, something like that.
I guess he's not a pitcher or a catcher. I guess he comes a little bit later.
He'll be there if he's on the team by then. I'll tell you that.
So is he on the team by then?
Still gonna say no, but I'm much closer to like a coin flip than I would have been, pre-Christmas.
I think I'm yes. I think he's on the team.
Really? I hope he is. I think it would be cool to see that, because it's different than last year. Arenado was like the piece that we knew was going to be traded, and then he wasn't. This is completely different. Like you don't have Brendan Donovan as a guy where you're like, do we even want him as an everyday player? No, he'll help you win a bunch of baseball games. And if he continues to do that, worst comes to worst, you can trade him in July, or you can revisit in the offseason after the work stoppage situation is resolved. He'll have 1 year left before free agency at that point. What if the Cardinals win 79 games this year with Brendan Donovan and go, honestly, his extension, you kind of comp it to Tommy Edman, you add a little bit and say, here you go. Is that the worst thing in the world? I think, okay, they brought him to arbitration last year, but that was a different GM, different president of the baseball operations. Then maybe bygones could be bygones. And Heimblum said, he's handled everything completely professionally, just as you would expect. So we'll see. That's the trade that I was sure was happening. And now I'm really close to just about 50-50, but I'll lean that ultimately that'll be kind of the final nail in the coffin on the Cardinals really having any competitive aspirations in 26. I know they already kind of don't, but if you're trading him, that would be the first one that's like, oh, this isn't a money dump. We're trading a guy in his prime because we're not quite ready to compete yet,
And that is about the return that you're getting back. It's not
100%.
About how much he's making, how much money you need to eat, how much or him blocking somebody else. No,
Heimblum has done those trades already and done a nice job in them, in my opinion. And that allows you to kind of be able to be more open-minded with how you approach Donovan.
So is Brendan Donovan still a Cardinal by spring training? You can answer that with a call or text at 573-875-KTGR. Under the Bus coming up next. Look, it's a conspiracy theory still. Will Carroll told us such earlier this week. But the 49ers are going to look into this whole thing, it seems. That's next.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou women's basketball will start tonight against number 18 Ole Miss at 6:30. Mizzou women's hoops 1-5 in league play so far as they try to get their first win in SEC play over a top 25 opponent. They've played 4 top 25 teams in SEC play to this point. Meanwhile, Ole Miss comes in after losing at Georgia earlier in the weekend, but they're 3-2 to start out conference play. Again, tip-off at 6:30. Pregame begins at 6:15 right here on KTGR. As of now, we haven't heard yet of any scheduled changes regarding Mizzou athletics in the light of the winter storm warning that Missouri will be under here this weekend. Mizzou men's hoops still scheduled for now Saturday at 1 o'clock against Oklahoma. No changes to the Mizzou wrestling schedule yet. Mizzou women's hoops still scheduled for 5 p.m. on Sunday against Texas A&M. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Shangri-La Dispensaries with 2 locations in Columbia and 1 in Jefferson City. Shangri-La Dispensaries is paradise found. ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
I'm tracking extreme cold arriving tonight and tomorrow ahead of our winter storm. Wind chills already below 0 throughout Friday, but we are dry tomorrow. Snow first will start up by Saturday morning, lasting throughout Saturday and early Sunday. Snow totals continuing to increase, now looking more likely to exceed 6 to 8 inches along and south of I-70. I'm meteorologist Nate Splater, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
The foundation is set.
Missouri knocks off the #1 team in the nation.
The frame is built.
On the run, Mitchell for the plus, Missouri by 20.
And the gates
the habits, the response to detail, the execution, all that stuff matters.
are open.
Drives right baseline to the rim, jams it as he hangs and got fouled.
This is your radio home for Mizzou basketball.
Cruz, here comes the 3. Bang, he splashed it home.
Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
Welcome to every gym in January. Membership prices, crazy high. Crowds, even worse. All just wait in line for a bench. Or, hear me out, you could build your own home gym from Play It Again Sports. Free weights, dumbbells, plates, treadmills, ellipticals, benches, racks, and more. New and used. At prices that don't feel like a crime. No crowds, no monthly fees, no awkward eye contact with Chad curling on the squat rack. Play It Again Sports. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com.
Paradise doesn't have to be far away. Sometimes it's a quiet walk through a state park. Sometimes it's your favorite takeout and a night in. At Shangri-La, we believe that cannabis belongs in those everyday moments, not as an escape, but as part of living well. That's why we offer 20% off select category every day, plus 20% off store-wide every Sunday. Thoughtful products, honest guidance, real value. Shangri-La, discover paradise. Learn more at ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
This is the year she gets an upgraded diamond. The year that Dad finally gets his retirement watch. And the year that your daughter graduates. So you give her the necklace she's always dreamed of. Family Pawn is not your traditional pawn shop, but they are your secret to saving big on stunning jewelry for every occasion. Family Pawn, where you'll find timeless treasures for a fraction of the cost. FamilyPawn.com.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
You're a merchant of all things that are man. Firearms, fishing, cars, food, sports. Yeah, the kind of stuff every man always needs more of. So show it off at the Mecca of Man, the 2026 Como Man Show, Saturday, March 14th at the Northeast Event Center where the Boone County Fair is held. It's the best and most fun way to show every man they need what you got. Seriously, by showing them. Bring your best stuff, show it off, and have a blast. For more info on being a vendor at the Man Show, go to ComoManShow.com.
Life has many sweet sounds. Whether it's being enchanted by the coo of a baby, enthralled by the refrain of a favorite song, or even enlightened by a celebration. Hearing connects, informs, and engages us with the world. At Hearing Aid Consultants, helping people hear better is our passion. Set your hearing baseline now so you don't miss the sweet sounds of life.
Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmake Repair Lab. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. HearingAidConsultants.com.
If you're craving something delicious, find your way to the Pasta Factory, where everything's made from scratch daily. Their fresh sauces, cakes, quiche, dressings, and soups are sure to tantalize your taste buds. And all pasta entrees are cooked, baked, and tossed to order. Don't leave without sampling those homemade desserts, lovingly crafted by Jason and Rob. Good. The Pasta Factory. Visit them at 3103 West Broadway Business Park, right in front of Walmart. Celebrating 50 years in business. The Pasta Factory, where fresh meets flavor.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis, guaranteed or your money back. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late night eating binges, boredom eating, and stress eating. Also, stop smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis Tuesday, February 3rd at the Capitol Plaza Hotel and Convention Center in Jefferson City, or Wednesday, February 4th at the Holiday Inn, Columbia East in Columbia. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30, stop smoking hypnosis 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got The Big Show on KTGR.
Will Carroll, he very well debunked this theory earlier this week, and I do still believe him. And I think everybody with a reasonable mind also believes him. But the 49ers are still looking into this substation thing. They said they're going to look into it.
Got to look into it. You got to look into it.
Leave no stone unturned, I guess. Oh, man. You think they're going to find anything?
Oh, they might uncover one of the greatest conspiracies of our
time. Oh, my gosh.
If they're not careful. The question is, can they handle the truth? I think they have to tread carefully.
At this point, I worry about their safety. If they're really going to go and investigate, what are they going to do? Look in and it's like that.
Some things are not meant to be explored.
Oh, man. This is so dumb. It's so dumb. But hey, do what you got to do in a billion-dollar industry, I suppose, if you're the 49ers. Make sure that you get to the bottom of whatever is causing your injuries. But I do think it's mostly tied to the fact that your head athletic trainer left for the Atlanta Hawks 2 years ago. Now, all of a sudden, your players are getting hurt a lot more often. Onto the bus also to Kevin Stefanski by Baker Mayfield. This was a couple days ago, but this was pretty intense. Some account out there, Orlando Ledbetter had talked about how Kevin Stefanski had a dumpster fire at quarterback in Cleveland. Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson failed, which started a chain reaction to 11 other starters. Shedeur Sanders closed out last season with 7 starts. And then Baker Mayfield replies to that and says, failed is quite the reach, pal. Still waiting on a text or call from him, meaning Stefanski, after I got shipped off like a piece of garbage. Can't wait to see you twice a year, coach.
Oh, yeah, boy. I mean, all right, those Bucs-Falcons games are going to be fun. Oh. I do think that I'm on Team Falcons. I like Baker Mayfield, but I also think, like Stefanski, he's hiring Tommy Reese as the OC. Like, they're basically just going to run it back and say Cleveland was why I couldn't win. Atlanta, maybe a completely different situation. I'll be very curious if Stefanski, though, you got to have a quarterback. Is it going to be Michael Penix off of his third ACL tear of his career, whatever it's been? I'll be curious to see the way that plays out at QB for Atlanta.
It's the biggest question for sure that he's got to find out, because the quarterback on the other side is clearly better. He wasn't better with you, which is maybe a bit of an indictment on Stefanski. Yeah. I think he's a good coach, but I do think it was more about Baker finding the right situation. That said, Baker's in the right situation, and he has a chance to beat the guy that, as he said, dumped him off like a piece of garbage. Kurt Signetti told you to Google him, and now when you do, there's a little line that appears at the top of the Google screen, and it says, yup, he won. That's real. You could do that right now if you wanted to.
Pretty good.
Google Kurt Signetti, and Google went ahead and leaned in, said, yep, he won. He was right. Should have believed him at the time. And sure enough, he did it. That's pretty awesome right there.
Good advertising for Google as well to make that, make that little change. Now we're talking about their company.
As if they even needed advertising at all.
Yeah, I mean, some brands are so big that it's just like, it's Google.
Right. It's the verb.
The verb becomes the word itself. Yeah, but no, it's a nice touch.
So
I'm ready because it's coming. I'm telling you, in 2026, we're all going to turn on Indiana and get tired of them because of how good they are. Like, okay, you won, we get it. Now it's like, oh, well, they go away, but they're not going.
That's what happens when you win.
Yep.
So see what happens with Indiana next year. In the meantime, we'll talk some hoops. SEC basketball tiers. We'll try our best. It's so hard. But 505, give us your SEC hoops tiers. Here on the Big Show, KTGR.
Would you care for some nightmare fuel? It's 5 a.m., and while you're still shaking off the cobwebs from the previous night's snooze, something else is lurking in another web. Time for a shower. Reach down to start the water, and it's a spider. 8 eyes watching you, and now 8 legs coming right for you. You know what you need? 5 stars. Not like throwing stars, although to be fair, you'd use just about anything to kill that dastardly shower spider. All you need is a 5-star service plan from Steve's Pest Control. Steve scares the life out of pests. Oh, who are we kidding? Steve and his team don't scare them, they kill them. All of them. And because your fear of spiders, wasps, termites, and other insects is very real, Steve's is here to let you know that he and his team are real too. They're not some corporate conglomerate. They're legendary, local, and 100% real.
Hi, I'm Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problem. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
Caesars Sportsbook is the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. Bet on gridiron action and earn perks on every game like hotel stays, bonus bets, game tickets, and more. Download the app using promo code radio250BM and get your first bet matched as a bonus bet up to $250, whether you win or lose. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Missouri. Open to new users only. Minimum odds -500. Awarded as non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 14 days after receipt. Bonus bet amount not returned for winning bets void where prohibited. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sticklin McDonald.
And I'm Charlie Sticklin with the Sticklin and Sticklin Law Firm.
And I'm Mizzou Softball's Natalie Touche. At Sticklin and Sticklin, all we do is personal injury.
We've earned millions for our clients since 1991.
On the diamond, I trust my team. Off the diamond, I trust Sticklin and Sticklin. Don't let the insurance companies strike you out. Let Sticklin and Sticklin go to bat for you. Sticklin and Sticklin, it's a home run.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR.
I'm Christine Lisi, breaking NFL news. Another head coaching vacancy has been filled. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Ravens are hiring Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter as their new head coach. Minter, also a former Baltimore defensive assistant, gets a 5-year deal. Seahawks quarterback Sam Darnold's throwing has been limited this week at practice because of an oblique injury ahead of Sunday's NFC title game versus the Rams. With the oblique and Zach Charbonnet out the rest of the playoffs with a torn ACL, expect a heavy dose of Seattle running back Kenneth Walker III, explains ESPN's Jason McCourty.
And the one thing about him as a running back, when he touches the football, you have no idea where he's going to be. Defensive coaches always say that everyone is at the point of attack. The run could be going to the left, and you could be the cornerback on the opposite side of the field. He's going to cut back, and he is going to find you. An explosive guy whenever the ball is in his hand, whether they're handing it off or throwing it to him out the backfield.
Dolphins today introduced new GM John Eric Sullivan, said he's got a plan for the team's QBs moving forward, but there's too much work to do before decisions made for this upcoming season. Miami expected to move on from Tua Tagovailoa.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs, from quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options. Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
and Arrowhead.
Touchdown! Kansas City!
To your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
Andy's making me do it. I don't want to do it because I have no clue how to organize the current field in the Southeastern Conference for basketball. But we're going to do it. The SEC basketball tiers make their debut for the season coming up here in just a few minutes. Give us a call or a text. Who are you backing? Like, who's the best team in the SEC right now? Who belongs in that top tier? Let us know, 573-875-KTGR. You can tell us where you're putting Mizzou, too, because that's going to be a chore. 525, we'll take a look at college football media personality talking head Josh Pate. He thinks he came up with a solution to the college football calendar that we'll dive into at 525 and see whether or not we think it could work. And is the NFC championship game really just the Super Bowl? The winner of that will emerge. We'll try to talk about that topic before we get out of here on today's show as well. But before we do all that, we got to do this because it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Well, some transfer portal news that does involve Mizzou today. Damon Wilson is now going to be a Miami Hurricane. Pete Thamel of ESPN and Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports both saying that Wilson will join up with Miami after kind of entering the portal a little later on in the game from Mizzou. Thought was he might jump to the NFL draft, but decided to enter the portal. There's maybe an outside shot that Mizzou would get him back, but that's not going to happen. It seems that he's going to go to Miami. Eli Drinkwitz did tweet out a bat signal early this morning, though, and we haven't seen the commitment just yet from said player that would warrant that bat signal. So we wait, but I mean, we all have our guesses. We'll see if our guesses are correct here soon.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
Mizzou women's basketball tonight, chance to get a top 25 win against Ole Miss. Mizzou doesn't have one of those in conference play yet. They're 1-5. Their only win came against Arkansas, who's also near the bottom of the league right now. But Mizzou with a chance. We'll see how they can do against Ole Miss, who may be a little bit down after last Sunday. They got trounced by Georgia on the road. So maybe a chance to get a team that might not be playing its best basketball. 6:30 tonight, 6:15 pregame start right here on KTGR.
Number 3.
Reporting from Cal McAndrew of the Columbia Daily Tribune and Eli Hoff, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, on Mizzou's budget for the fiscal year of 2025. And it seems that their budget deficit, they still operated in the red last year, but at $9.1 million. The year before that, their deficit was $15 million. So they did shrink that deficit a little more. That means that revenues grew at a faster pace than expenses grew. And obviously, in this different world of college sports, you want to make sure that that's the trend that athletic departments want to make sure they're doing so that they're in the black. We'll see if Mizzou can operate there sometime soon, but for now, still in the red. Still a good trend, though, from what it was last year.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Some big trades in Major League Baseball recently. Mackenzie Gore to the Rangers for 5 prospects, and none of them in the MLB Top 100. Freddie Peralta to the Mets for some interesting pieces. Brewers just kind of doing what they usually do. Does it mean the Cardinals are going to jump into the market and Brendan Donovan gets traded? I don't know.
Number 5.
What is the 5 fingers? Say to the face. Stop.
This is so pathetic. This has been such pathetic begging from Tyreek Hill. He keeps on doing it.
That's The Big Show's top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
875-KTGR if you want to call or text us. I don't know how this guy could have made it any more clear that he wants to be back with the Chiefs. He tweeted once again after the Eric Bieniemy news, saying, "Oh, he'd be back with the Chiefs." Like, come on, man. Like, stop.
Why should he stop?
Well, I'm sure he's trying his best, but it's not going to work. It's not going to be a Chief again.
Yeah, I don't know what the maneuver to get that to happen would even be. I don't know. I can't look at like a prospective sports story anymore and say never going to happen after all the stuff going on in college sports in general, football and basketball. But yeah, I think that bridge has probably been crossed and won't be crossed again when it comes to Tyreek Hill.
And at this point, it's kind of sad. It's clear he doesn't want to be in Miami. Like,
yeah.
And he just wants to come crawling back to the team that traded him away. And look, I know it wasn't necessarily his decision, but it seemed he was cool with it at the time and was like, okay, cool. I get to be in Miami. I get this huge bag from the Dolphins. Life's good. Well, hasn't necessarily worked out as far as the wins. He's
also like recovering from a devastating injury.
Right.
Like, I don't know, is he even going to be able to play again and more tread on the tires in terms of his age?
He'll play again. It's just not, will he be what you need him to be?
Right.
To be one of the fastest guys in the league. He's not that anymore. So
yeah. And that's kind of his whole thing, is speed. So we'll see with that. By the way, one trade that we haven't mentioned that I do want to bring up, I think the Mets nailed it with Luis Robert. They pick up Luis Robert from the White Sox. That guy screams change of scenery candidate, in my opinion. I think I'm not saying he'll be like an all-star again, but I think he'll play a lot better than he was playing with Chicago.
I agree. Get out of that situation. Like, I don't know if it'll get any better with who's there now, but yeah, he needed to get healthy, first of all. Maybe just a fresh perspective from how the training staff tells him to take care of his body and things like that could help. Again, different coaches, what pitches can you attack? What's going to be more beneficial for you in the long run? That was a guy that, breaking into the league, people were making bets that he could be like a 700 homer guy. Like,
yeah, I mean, he was being given some lofty expectations by some people.
Yeah, which probably too much. It's probably not going to be that, but he could still be a very strong player on a contender. And Mets are betting on that. We'll see if that works. To get him in the room, Freddie Peralta in the room. Like, I think the Mets are starting to get out of the phase of, oh man, we missed out on Alonso or some of these other guys. I think they'll be fine next year. We'll see.
They'll be competitive, at least.
At least they need to be. They get the bang for their buck somehow. 875-KTGR. Give us a call or a text. All right. Let's do it. SEC basketball tiers. This gives me no pleasure, by the way. I hope I'm not enjoying this any more than you are.
I have no idea who the best. We start with the top. We start with tier 1. I don't have an answer for you. I really don't have an answer for you.
You don't know who to even any suggestions? No.
Like a couple weeks ago, it would have been easy. You would have said, "Oh, Vanderbilt, man, they look like a wagon. They've lost like 3 in a row." Granted, it's their only 3, but that's where they're at this point. Like, Florida, Mizzou beat Florida, but they're the top team in Ken Pom in the league, so
they got to at least be in this tier, right? It's probably not the only team in the tier. They got to be at the top, at least with somebody else. So yeah, let's start it off with Florida. Florida's at the top. Who joins Florida?
Is Alabama in the top tier?
That's a great question.
They've got 5 losses. Is like, you can't just do it based on wins and losses, but
my initial thought is no. They're not in this top tier.
Man.
And they have 5 losses. Their non-con losses were to Purdue, Gonzaga, and Arizona. I'm not dinging them for that. I don't think I would take it away just because of that. But Vanderbilt beat them. And so, that's kind of a leg up for Vanderbilt. I am going to put Vanderbilt in this top tier, even though
I think so too.
Yeah, even though they just lost to Florida, but that was a close game, tight contest, and Vanderbilt's going to be a double bye team this year, even though they've lost 3 so far.
I think Alabama will too, though. Like, I'm gonna keep Alabama in my top tier along with Florida and Vandy, and I think that's my tier, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave Alabama out of this top tier. The home loss to Texas maybe is the delineation, and it's a fine delineation. It is not a huge gap, but it does. It's something that shows up there that doesn't show up on anyone else's. I know you're going to say, well, Florida lost to Mizzou on the road.
Yeah. It doesn't disqualify them. Mizzou's going to be toward the middle of all this, I think.
Yeah. And again, this is why it's so tough to put together these types of tiers in this league. So I'm going to say that my top tier is Florida and Vandy, and that's it. But Alabama does start off my tier 2.
I've got Arkansas in my tier 2.
I do as well.
I think they might end up being dangerous. Really good offensive team, plays at a fast pace, pretty good defense as well. They're top 50 defensive rating in KenPom too, which is like you would expect them to be a lot more deficient maybe on that side of the ball with the way they play at that kind of breakneck pace. But I would say that they're in this tier for me. And I'm struggling whether or not I think a lot of these other teams right behind them are kind of grouped in here, or whether it would be giving too much credit to like a Tennessee and a Kentucky to consider them to also be in a tier 2 scenario.
So I'm putting out, Arkansas, Alabama, and I mean, it might sound odd, but I'm going to put A&M here. I think A&M, and it may not even necessarily be a full body of work resume type of thing, because early in the year, they went to Oklahoma State and lost by a lot. Like that's a loss that's dragging them down at the moment. Same thing when they lost to UCF at home. UCF's pretty good, but home loss by double digits against a non-conference opponent. You don't want those. But recently they have been exceeding expectations from what I'm sure folks were wanting them to do. Only a double OT loss to Tennessee on the road, but then they beat Texas on the road. They go and beat Auburn, and they have not lost at home in conference play yet, and that's meaningful. I have A&M in this tier. It might be a little too generous.
No, I mean you're looking at what their resume has told us and saying, KenPom wouldn't agree, but that's what you're going with. I can't fault you for that. So what's your full tier 2 here?
So I don't know if I'm done yet.
Wow.
So I've got 3 teams in this tier already, right?
You've got Arkansas, A&M, and Bama, right?
Yeah, that's it. I'll end there. That's all I have.
Okay, and I don't feel as though A&M is a tier 2 team for me. I'm going to stop there. Okay. Arkansas is going to be my only tier 2 team. I think when it's all said and done, Bama, Florida, Vandy, Arkansas are your top 4, your double buys in the SEC. And I think unless we see a change, because my tier 3, I'll kick off with Kentucky. As flawed as they've been, I think I'm giving them some credit for the upside that I still see there. And I'll do the same with Tennessee. I think I'm not quite putting those in like national contender territory. I think it's going to be unless we see a completely different version of those teams consistently come March, I won't necessarily feel really confident advancing either to the Final Four in my bracket, but I think they're appropriate tier 3 teams. Arkansas, I am saying I'm a little bit more apt to, unless that defensive rating really trails off, because I know that's always a thing when you fill out the bracket. You got to be careful that you're not just too one-sided, great offense, but deficient on defense or vice versa. I think Tennessee for me is that on the offensive side of the ball, where I'm not quite as impressed with them, but they play really good defense. I'll go Arkansas as tier 2, but right now Kentucky, Tennessee for me, tier 3. And maybe that's where I get to A&M. Struggling with the Georgia and Auburn category.
Here's the thing, I'm putting them here. They're in my tier 3. Like
both of them are?
Yeah, the teams that you put in your tier 3 to start out are also in my tier 3, Tennessee, Kentucky. But Auburn and Georgia are also here.
Yeah, I think I'd be getting too cute if I left them out, because really there's not a big difference between some of these teams right now. I'll include A&M, so that's a 5-pack for me of Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Auburn, and A&M. And you're saying you got all 5, but A&M is already in tier 2.
Yeah, it's mostly on vibes right now. Like,
who do you trust the least from that group?
Out of Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Auburn.
Georgia. Yeah, that's your tier 3.
What
do you feel worst about from those 4 teams?
It might be hard to hear this, but I'd say Georgia.
I'm going to say Georgia too, because I think that they totally got away with one.
I think they did
earlier this week.
Yeah.
It's not sour grapes, but it kind of is.
I'm not overly impressed with them. Not a good 3-point shooting team. And so when they chuck up 20 a night, like that can hurt them. It didn't on Tuesday, obviously, because Mizzou couldn't get it done. But like that's like if you're going to keep shooting that much and not hit them, then you're kind of asking for trouble in some of the big games that you're going to have.
And they're going to find trouble, and they already have. I mean, they did lose a game at home, and they lost to Ole Miss at home.
Yeah,
in overtime.
Play fast, right? Like that's their mantra. We get a bunch of shots up because we give ourselves a whole bunch of possessions, and we still get to 90. Like, okay.
And they beat Arkansas doing that. They beat Arkansas that exact way, but Arkansas shot 23% from 3 that night. They were 5 for 21. Georgia was 12 for 33. Like they're chucking threes. 36%, whatever. It obviously worked for them. But if Arkansas on that given night, doesn't shoot 5 for 21, if they shoot closer to 36%, you're probably talking about a 1-possession game in that one. So, and that was a game that was played in Athens. So, yeah, I'm just not really buying Georgia yet. If they prove me wrong, I will have to admit I was wrong and capitulate. But I'm a little bitter about the Mizzou outcome, and I'm not afraid to admit it.
So, how many teams do you have? 4 in this tier, right? Or technically 5 because you included A&M in there. But, but we have all named the same number of teams, and I think that's 9 teams that we have named, correct?
Yeah, and who are we? Are we missing a team that needs to at least be? We'll be like the selection committee. We got to scrub the seating.
Right.
Is there any team we got to scrub here to make sure they don't belong? Texas would be my nominee as a team that beat Alabama. Didn't start the season great. Just beat Kentucky at Kentucky last night. Or excuse me.
They lost.
Yeah, this was last night. I'm inclined to say Texas would be here for me as well.
In this tier 3?
Yeah, because when I think about the teams that we're going to get to in a minute, I feel better about Texas than I do a number of these teams, and I think that's where I would draw the line. For me, I feel more about Texas the way I do a Georgia or the way I do Auburn.
Kind of an all-or-nothing team right now. Wins against Bama and Vanderbilt, but they've lost to Mississippi State. And
I'm sorry, they lost to Kentucky by 5 at Kentucky.
Yeah.
I thought they beat them.
Like they're 2-4 in league play. And so, but you're right. Like no one else has beaten Alabama and Vandy yet. So that's pretty impressive still.
The Mississippi State one was weird. I watched that game. It was 101-98. They lost in overtime. I don't know what. They were like an 8.5-point favorite. I don't know. They just couldn't stop them. I mean, they just didn't play well defensively. But you look at some like kind of the ilk when we think about some of the teams above them is like, yeah, they did score a win over such and such. Texas beating Alabama on the road is noteworthy, and then they followed that up by beating Vanderbilt. I feel like you're doing something right. So
you've swayed me. I wasn't going to put them in this tier, but sure, let's put them in. Yeah.
You're like, why not? It's going to be easy early. I think we'll get a little bit more stubborn with our rankings as we move a little deeper into the season. But right now, tier 3 is huge for me. That's my 6th team, and I will stop it there.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like that. I think everybody in this list can be solid NCAA tournament teams or better. I'm include Texas within that. I know they've got some work to do, but I think that the resume could end up being there too with some of those key wins that they've picked up.
So that's 10 teams that we have named so far in the first 3 tiers. Yeah. I think you break it at that point.
Haven't said Missouri, but I don't think that's wrong. They'll be in my next tier though.
Yeah, the Mizzou's in tier 4, along with I believe Ole Miss, LSU, and Oklahoma.
Talk me into Oklahoma if you dare.
All right.
Because that's one where I would draw the line there probably.
So here's the thing. I don't know. I mean, their Ken Palm's similar. Like to the teams that we've just named there. They're in between Mizzou and Ole Miss at the moment in Ken Palm, 2 teams that we just named.
Mississippi does have some wins though. I mean, in terms of beating Missouri, beating Georgia are a couple of wins where I look up and go, okay. And I get it. Oklahoma smoked Ole Miss, but that was like back toward the start of conference play. Oklahoma also got smoked by Mississippi State, who I know is going to be in one of the bottom tiers, if not the bottom tier.
So maybe they just, because of that, they need to also be in this bottom tier.
Yeah, and if they had a win that I could look at and go, okay, there's one for you. They almost got it done against Bama at home, but lost. And they did lose to South Carolina in their most recent game by 9. So I think Oklahoma is more similar to those bottom tier teams for now. And you might say, like, we could scrub Missouri against some of these teams and maybe not come out so favorably. But I do think Missouri, LSU, Ole Miss is more teams that, like, you could still make the tournament, but I'm not really expecting it as of right now. And Missouri might be the best of that group, but that's hard to say because they've lost to the other two teams in it.
Yeah, only one of them I think will make it.
If that, you could be.
I think it depends upon one of the teams above them also maybe playing down to the other tier. And
where would you set the line on SEC teams in the field?
9.5.
I think that's the right line.
Yeah.
Yep. Because if you've got 10 above in the top 3 tiers, which we both do, assuming all 10 make it, that probably means Missouri, along with Ole Miss and LSU, didn't really rise above that hierarchy. If there's one above that stumbles, there could be that opening for the Missouri or the Mississippi or the LSU to take that 10th spot, but there's no guarantee that you do. It may just be a 9-bid league this year. And the more I see of the league, the more I think it just maybe didn't do enough. And maybe this is just the Mizzou knowledge and bias, but didn't do enough in the non-con to really get the same respect from the committee that it did last year to get that 10th team in. We'll see what ends up happening. If it's more top heavy as a league and that 10th team is, 10-8 or like a 9-9, but has some non-con wins, then maybe they'll get the benefit of the doubt, but they might have to play in Dayton. That could be the way this goes this year.
Call or text us at 875-KTGR. So I think our second from the bottom tier is Mizzou, LSU, Ole Miss. Bottom tier, Oklahoma, Mississippi State, South Carolina. Because Oklahoma's also lost to Mississippi State. So they lost to both of the teams
in the tier. You're in the tier. I'm sorry.
At least in the tier, if not.
You didn't beat
it.
anybody in the SEC that really blows me away yet. So
beat Ole Miss. That's the only one. But
doesn't blow me away.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. So that wasn't too hard.
No, it actually lines out a little easier than I thought. And I think you and I are in lockstep in like the bottom half of the league. And at the top, I'm maybe a little more bullish on Arkansas already than you are. And on Bama, I'm a little more bullish too.
So those are our SEC basketball tiers. We'll update that, I'm sure, once a week. It might get a little easier for us as the season rolls.
We're going to get caught, though, in like the what just happened of it all. And that's where it's going to be challenging because there will be some contradictions.
We're going to be like the CFP committee, be like, well, you're moving this team down after they won a couple games. What's happening here? Yeah, we'll be totally corrupt when it comes to that. I don't think the SEC will mind, though, because our opinion does not matter to them. 875-KTGR.
They're letting professionals play in their league now. I mean, what
no rules. Exactly.
Did you see, by the way, and this was something that somebody uncovered from Reddit, but I saw like Seth Davis was retweeting it, and so I retweeted it. I thought I think it's legitimate that the judge who issued this ruling on Bediako is like a super donor to Bama.
Yeah. Well, again,
what are we doing?
Yeah.
How is this allowed?
So here's the thing. That's right. And it's kind of what goes into these temporary restraining orders and what allow for players to win the eligibility case temporarily, but they only needed to win enough to play a year, right? Or however long they need to play for. It is interesting, though. So that happened in that case. What's happening in the Darian Mensah case at Duke, where like Duke was getting a judge essentially to try and rule there, but they didn't get the temporary restraining order because the judge, who was also a Duke donor or season ticket holder, whatever it was.
Season ticket holder for basketball, I think is what
conflict of interest there, but he recused himself. Like he did the right thing and stepped aside, get somebody in here who's a little more unbiased and you rule on it. But they didn't do that in Tuscaloosa. And you know what? I'm not that surprised.
This was Tuscaloosa County. Of course they said, sure, let him play. I legitimately think, and I'm not joking,
Yeah.
I think if Alabama were to say, like, all right, who's our like Brandon Miller, can he come play? Like, can he play for the Hornets on Tuesday night and play for the Tide on Wednesday night? I think a judge in Tuscaloosa County would say yes, and then it would be the same thing. There's nothing that the NCAA could do. It would be identical. The only thing is, like, that would be even more just like, well, this can't happen. But yeah, it can. If the Bediako thing can happen and all it takes is one Bama super fan to say, rubber stamp it, there's no such thing as, like, hiding your corruption anymore. It's just open and sanctioned.
Yeah.
This is corrupt. How can a judge be a Bama super donor in, like, the tier of $100,000 to $249,000 a year or whatever it is, be the one that can, in his sole authority, say, yep, this guy can play for you on Saturday? It's lunacy, but that's where we're at in college sports. I think this is the biggest smoking gun of the fact that we've lost the plot.
Yeah.
And there have been plenty. The Damon Williams, all right, we at least cooler heads prevailed. He went back to Washington. There's been a lot of them, but this absolutely takes the cake. That a judge who is a Alabama super fan just basically got to singularly decide, yeah, let him play. I don't know. We'll probably win against Tennessee if he does. Crazy.
And here's the thing. There will be coaches that are like, oh, this is terrible. Like, what? Eligibility doesn't matter and all that. You guys can stop it if you want. You can say, Nate Oates can say to Charles Bediako, sorry, loved what you did for us. We will support you in so many different ways outside of this institution and try to set you up for success as much as possible. But it's over, buddy. It's time to move on.
Get a job.
Coaches can do that. And most coaches, I'm sure, do. But
he's a complete coward fraud.
Yeah.
He really is. And I think other coaches in the league, like Mark Pope went up to the podium, and they're maybe not throwing him under the bus specifically, but other coaches in the league, I guarantee you, behind closed doors are like, this dude.
Yeah.
I mean, no respect for Nate Oates for, like, because he just spoke out recently. We talked about it yesterday, how he had a quote saying, it takes away opportunities. I used to be a high school coach, and I respect that those high school kids are looking for opportunities. There are only so many roster spots. And then a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever it is, he's, welcome back, guy who hasn't been here in 3 years. And
it just so happens you have an open roster spot to give him. What do you know?
Is he taking classes? Like, do we know?
Like, I think he is.
They said, released a statement saying as he pursues his degree. My only guess is they back-channeled and orchestrated this ahead of time. So he did sign up for the spring semester, I assume, in order to be enrolled so that then they could say, oh, by the way, he's going to play for us. But, like, it's just lunacy. It really goes beyond the pale.
That's college sports, though, in 2026. 875 KTGR. Baseball's over. College sports is over.
Yep.
We're gonna be analyzing hopscotch here on this show in not too long.
Business. Marble races.
Hey, don't discount marble races. Come on. 875-5847. You want to weigh in. Okay, up next, on the college sports conversation, assuming that it still goes on, what do you think of this idea that Josh Pate, college football talking head, he's on ESPN, bunch of different platforms, he had a long plan as to how he can fix the calendar. He's trying to be college football's new commissioner or whatever, or their first commissioner. Hear his plan and tell us what you think about it next year on The Big Show.
It's the latest edition of The Big Show. Catch up on demand with a full show podcast on the KTGR app. Download it now, wherever you get your apps.
Hey, Columbia, this is Coach Agnew from API. I've got a New Year's deal for you don't want to miss. If you've been thinking about getting in shape, now's the perfect time to jump in. Sign up at API before the end of January and get your first 31 days for just $31. That's right, 31 days, $31. With expert coaching, a supportive community, and all the tools you'll need to crush your fitness goals. There's never been a better time to join the API family. So come on in and let's make this year your strongest year yet. Sign up now at APIProjectFitness.com.
You're not the kind to make a nice little snow angel when the snow falls. You mark your territory in a different way. With a lemonade autograph. But when others tinkle their title in your business parking lot, you get Peed off. Thanks a lot, Chad. Nice cursive work, though. Good for you, Tina. Tina? Wait a minute. Get rid of the snow graffiti with Crutch's Custom Exteriors commercial snow removal. Call Crutch's and get a quote today. Seriously, though, Tina, that's impressive.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. When severe weather hits, scammers often follow. They may pose as charities, jack up prices on essentials, or offer fraudulent home repairs. I'm committed to protecting Missourians from those scams. If you've been targeted or suspect price gouging, report it to our office at 800-392-8222 or online at ago.mo.gov.
Paid for by the Missouri Attorney General's office. It's hard to believe basketball season is already here. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill reminds you that whether you need a place to grab a bite after a local high school or college game, or you just want to plop down with some friends and watch some hoops on TV, they've got a spot for you. 1851 Underground has drink specials and discount happytizers for happy hour. Check them out on Facebook or at 1851underground.com. It's not a secret, but it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
You know your favorites. Now it's time to put them on the map. Nominations are open for Inside Columbia Magazine's Best of Columbia 2026, now through March 1st. Nominate the businesses and places you love, including Best Mexican Food, Best Spa, Best Steak, Best Hairstylist, Best Lawn Care, and more. You can nominate once per day, so come back and support the businesses you love most. Best of Columbia 2026 starts with you. Nominate today at InsideColumbia.net.
Hey, this is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. My energy level exploded. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods, and I lost another 10 pounds. In fact, I brought my husband, and he lost weight, and his cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend lost 20 pounds her first 2 months.
Oh my, what are you waiting for? Lose the weight or stop smoking with Hypnosis, guaranteed only $59.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late-day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. That's right. Hypnosis Tuesday, February 3rd at the Capitol Plaza Hotel and Convention Center in Jefferson City, or Wednesday, February 4th at the Holiday Inn Columbia East in Columbia. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30. Stop smoking hypnosis 8 o'clock. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
Call or text us here at 573-875-KTGR. Give us your SEC basketball tiers. We had 5 tiers, which is more than even I expected to have. I was expecting going in that we were just going to make 4, and that one of them was going to be like 10 teams, which probably still could be true. But we got to 5, I guess. We did it.
Yeah, I do think there's a delineation to be made. You could argue that maybe a smaller tier 3, teams like Texas and Auburn, maybe even a Georgia, belong closer to the Missouris of the world. But I do think that there's a difference between the top of my tier 3, which is more like a Kentucky or a Tennessee, compared to the bottom of the next tier, like an Ole Miss or an LSU. So I think 5 tiers is the right amount for right now, and we'll see how that may change.
All right, so in the whole college sports conversation, Josh Pate, college football talking head, he deems himself the future college football commissioner.
Right. I'm sure he does.
Yeah. He's got a plan to have the college football season, everything, wrap up by January 1st. Well, really the games to wrap up by January 1st, have everything else wrapped up by the spring semester, and to revitalize bowl season as well. Let's hear the whole clip of what Josh Pate had to say. It is a longer one. Bear with us on it, but here's his plan to get it all done in a much more timely manner and fix the calendar in college football.
Step 1, I would like to move week 1 to what week 0 currently is, which leads to a revolutionary Thanksgiving weekend. It's where step 2 comes into play. We're going to have conference championship games we're just going to have them Thanksgiving weekend instead of the week after Thanksgiving. We have a big problem in the sport right now. Bowl season has been rendered largely irrelevant compared to what it used to be. So I'm taking the shock panels, I'm rubbing them together, whatever that gel is in between, putting them on the chest of bowl season. Clear, boom, bowl season's back. I'd like to take 6 bowls. Don't particularly care which ones they are. Let's just call it the Citrus Bowl and the Pop-Tart Bowl, Cheez-It Bowl, etc. Either that Friday after Thanksgiving or that Saturday. You guys can choose. Take all the teams that are going to play in conference championship games, take them off the board. They're already preoccupied. But this is what it would have looked like this year. My Pop-Tart Bowl is Oregon versus Houston. My Cheez-It Bowl is Ole Miss versus Michigan. I've got A&M, Arizona. I've got Oklahoma, USC. I've got Texas versus Utah. I've got Notre Dame versus Vanderbilt. These are bowl games. They are also college football playoff data points. These games count. You could play yourself into or out of the playoff in many cases in the Pop-Tart Bowl, because the day after, that Saturday, that is Selection Sunday, 9 a.m. It's an NFL Sunday. We're not scared of the NFL around here, but we're also not going to be stupid and run opposed to them. So we're going to reveal the college football playoff rankings and seedings and the bracket 9 a.m. that Sunday. And then step 5, round 1 happens a week later. Round 1 of the college football playoff on campus is held the first Saturday in December. Round 2 of the college football playoff, held on campus, is held the second Saturday in December. Round 3, finally going to kick it to a neutral site, only because I think I have to. I don't want to. That's the third Saturday in December. And then we break for Christmas, and our national championship game is held New Year's Day. And we crown a national champion, and the season's over. And step 6 is immediately after that. I don't even care in which order you do this. You have signing day, and you have your transfer portal window, and wrap that thing up in a couple of weeks, and then spring semester is here, and everyone can go kick their feet up and take a little vacation. Maybe have a junior day. Do whatever you want to do. Everyone's playing 17 to win it all. You got 2 rounds of on-campus playoff games. The bowl games are enhanced in many different ways, and you totally resurrect the spirit of bowl season because you maximize the relevance of 6 of those bowls, and you totally reconfigure the importance of them. Also, if we play these games on subsequent Saturdays in December, you're going to have to figure it out with the NFL. You're just going to have to. Someone's got to walk in the room that has the stones and the relationships and the know-how to understand, and hey, here's a bold strategy. If you have to, pay the NFL to have the spot. But I love this.
All right, so that was a lot from Josh Pate there. His plan to fix college football, make the schedule make more sense. Week 0 is fine. Like, have everybody actually start when everybody starts. Like, I'm cool with that. Gets us closer to college football when we're starving for it in summer and everything like that.
And I don't even know if coaches care. Like, you start your camps earlier.
Exactly.
Probably. I don't really know that that's a problem for anybody.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So we agree on that.
So that means conference championship weekend is Thanksgiving weekend. Also cool with it. Like, that's where you start to mess with the traditions of when the rivalries were. And
games.
It's like they
bump them up a week.
Some played on Thanksgiving though, and some played on Friday and things like that.
To gain things, you will have to sacrifice things. So that would be in the sacrifice pile. Like, you'd be making some concessions there, but I don't think anything that we can't necessarily, because we all agree it doesn't work as it's currently constructed. So we got to give the get. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with saying, look, new rivalry week is the week before Thanksgiving. That's fine.
So then you just get right to it. Conference championship weekend. And then essentially what he's saying with the bowls, the 6 that he was trying to throw into conference championship weekend, I assume that what he meant is that the 12 highest ranked teams that are not in a conference championship are playing a game that weekend. And if they win, then there's a really good shot that they'll be in the playoff, or they'll
it helps their playoff resume at least.
Right. Something that like Vanderbilt was trying to do, like to play another game against another team that's around them in the rankings and have that be another data point.
Now,
that
for the
committee
Oregons of the
recognizes.
world, that he had in one of those bowl games, like, If you lose, you're probably still in the field of 12.
Yeah.
And so you start to get into a question of like what teams have to gain versus what they have to lose in terms of injuries and things of that nature. I think could be an impediment, but I generally am for like rather than, every team gets to kind of schedule how they want in the non-con, and some conferences are stronger than others. And so not all schedules will be created equal. To have a data point at the very end that at least is going to be against these other teams that you're comparing your resumes to, I could see the benefit of that. And by the way, the Thanksgiving weekend football would be legendary. You'd have legit conference championship games and these games that would be meaningful to fans and resumes.
And in the case of Oregon, what would help them is that they'd be playing the 12th best team in that like pocket, if you will, that's playing in those 6 bowl games. So they would have a favorable matchup still to be playing that weekend. And so there wouldn't be a whole lot of worry
that way though.
Yes.
I don't know for sure. Is
yeah,
that how his
I think that's how he did it. We didn't have the visual for what he put on his screen for his show, but that is how he laid it out.
Okay.
So, and again, that's not against JMU or anybody like that, like Oregon got in the playoff, but it's against a team that's in like almost the 20s in the rankings.
I guess the question is if Oregon should lose, though, what happens? Because the team that beats Oregon now says, well, we should be in Oregon's spot, but the full resume would say, yeah, not really. So, like, you would then have people squabbling over how meaningful were the bowls if an upset happens.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of vibe. I almost would rather see, instead of like seeding it 5 versus the bottom of the considered teams, have it be someone nearby so that you can scrub against that team. Like do the Miami Notre Dame thing, but do it at the end where, these teams didn't play during the season. Like almost partner them up to inspire finding out about resume, and then a win would then be potentially very meaningful for some of those playoff
So
teams.
you're saying have there be game the system. Oh,
it's
boy.
not a bracket.
That would be very
like game it in such a way that like we all were going through this going, man, if Vanderbilt had to play today against so and so on a neutral field, who would win? Do that in a way that could end up allowing for some of those questions to be answered. Because again, if you play Oregon against Arizona or somebody ranked 23rd or whatever it would be, you're not, and they lose, you're not knocking Oregon out because their resume is still going to be stronger than that other team.
Yeah.
But then everyone's going to say, but my head-to-head, my head-to-head is so important, which I always thought was overblown. It ended up working out in Miami's favor, but that's where I think you could run into some issues. But I'm generally okay with the idea of, certain bowls should count toward the allocation and let all the other bowls that aren't in that rotation stay the same. You can still play them, in late December around Christmas time. You can still play them that December 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st and have those games go on. They won't be conflicting directly with, college football playoff games. I play them during the weekdays so that we got football every day. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it is. You'll have to be better with how you manage the bodies of some of these players because then they'll be on short weeks and everything like that.
Everybody plays 17 to win was the biggest problem that you might have from coaches and players.
Correct.
Like,
and I think and I believe that's assuming that it's a 16-team playoff and he's got everybody playing that's in the bracket on that first weekend, which would be hard. And I honestly would not necessarily go for that because then like you really aren't playing for much in the conference championship games if you're in that.
You can't have those games at that point. Yeah.
Right. Like that.
The rub.
I would want winning those conference championship games to mean something for you getting a bye and a bye to be valuable when you are crunching this schedule together. Because the bye probably isn't all that valuable having 22 days off or whatever it is, because like everybody else is getting 10 days off before their next game too.
Week versus having to play the next Saturday, that would be a value.
True.
Yeah.
So like that's what I would probably tweak. That's in that scenario, I'd probably, I don't know, maybe keep it at 12 or whatever you're doing. It's going to stay at 12. Like the deadline's tomorrow and nothing's happening. But like, I get that. I don't need the home sites on the second round. Like you can go to the bowl game still. Like,
because what he's talking about doing the Pop-Tart Bowl as one of these play-in bowls. but you're not going to have enough bowls to go around. Like
the New
Big
Year's
Boy
Six bowls, I think, still need to be as part of the playoff. If you
and
ask
that's
me.
why they had to start it at that round of 8, because if they didn't, they wouldn't have all had spots. So
yeah,
it's imaginative, and I understand that there does need to be a change, but I think unrealistic. I think there's a lot of challenges. Army Navy, which is like, I think you can get over that challenge, but is something else you'd have to figure out. I don't actually think it has to be done by January 1st, by the way. Just make it like January 8th. Make it.
Well,
let's.
And if it's January 1st, then it has to be at the Rose Bowl, right? Because the Rose Bowl can't be any other day, right? And no moving that thing to
I would
December.
say if you could make the Final Four be New Year's Day, that's good enough.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of moving toward the end of January, let's say New Year's Day and then the next Saturday. So maybe it's 10, 11 days later. Sometimes it'll be exactly a week later.
Yeah.
Let that be the championship game. And that's at least still kind of early January.
And look, again, it was too late again this year. It's going to be too late again next year. But the thing is, like, people are still watching. ESPN just came out with the numbers for the national championship game. Over 30 million people watched. It was the second most watched college football playoff championship game. The first most was the very first one in 2015 with Ohio State and Oregon. And like so it did great numbers, even though it was this late. Like, people are going to watch still. I get it. It's too late and it feels weird.
I actually like the way it went because we had football for more weekends.
Not bad, right? Call or text us with what you think. 875-KTGR. We'll get to some of your texts on that. And after this live local sports center here on The Big Show.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good evening. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou women's basketball tonight. Tigers take on number 18 Ole Miss. Mizzou looking for its first ranked win in conference play. They have faced 4 ranked teams so far in the SEC, but have lost all 4 of those. They're 1-5 in conference. Meanwhile, Ole Miss lost by more than 20 points on the road to Georgia this past Sunday. The Tigers hoping to catch Ole Miss maybe in a down week. Coverage starts at 6:15 right here on KTGR with tip-off set for 6:30 from Mizzou Arena. As of now, as far as the rest of the Mizzou athletic calendar for the weekend, we don't see any schedule updates yet, even with the impending winter storm that is expected to come through mid-Missouri over Saturday and Sunday. We'll obviously keep you up to date here on KTGR of any changes that happen. Mizzou basketball, Mizzou men's hoops scheduled for 1 p.m. on Saturday against Oklahoma. 2 wrestling duels this weekend, and Mizzou women's hoops 5 p.m. on Sunday against A&M. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast with Shangri-La Dispensaries. Visit them in Columbia or Jefferson City, ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
I'm tracking extreme cold arriving tonight and tomorrow ahead of our winter storm. Wind chills already below 0 throughout Friday, but we are dry tomorrow. Snow first will start up by Saturday morning, lasting throughout Saturday and early Sunday. Snow totals continuing to increase, now looking more likely to exceed 6 to 8 inches along and south of I-70. I'm meteorologist Nate Splater, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Okay, the limb is hanging over the driveway. I need this pruned.
Oh, call the electrician.
An electrician?
Yeah, or maybe your HVAC guy.
You've officially lost it. I need an expert in the right field.
Fine. Call that lawn company. They mow and prune.
Yeah, they also scalped your yard last summer.
When it comes to trees, trust the experts who actually know trees. Ones that are trained and educated for pruning, planting, and removals done right. Call Eric at Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend. AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com.
Hi, we're Midway Electric. When winter hits, electrical issues can turn serious fast, at home or at your business. That's why you need a trusted local team that shows up, solves the problem, and stands behind the work. From whole home generators and security systems to everyday service and repairs, Midway Electric has you covered. And now through January, get $500 off a whole home generator installation to keep you powered up no matter the weather. Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
Hey, y'all, it's Molly from Billiards. Everybody I know is happy to say goodbye to 2025. So we're hoping for a fix in 26. And we hope you'll come see us at Billiards. That may sound cheesy to some of y'all, but who cares? At Billiards, we love cheese. We love everything better. We believe that to be true.
Look on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway.
We serve 525.
We're moving faster and faster these days with limited time to make an impact on potential customers. Hi, this is Jimmy at Pro Designs. For nearly 2 decades, we've worked with companies to build strong brands. At Pro Designs, our team can create a vehicle wrap to drive market share, growth, and profits. Connect with your customers on the go, on the road, and on the job site.
Visit us on the web at PRODEZIGNS.com.
Come see them at their locations in Eldon or Columbia off Rangeline Street and I-70.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
You're a merchant of all things that are man. Firearms, fishing, cars, food, sports. Yeah, the kind of stuff every man always needs more of. So show it off at the Mecca of Man, the 2026 Como Man Show, Saturday, March 14th at the Northeast Event Center where the Boone County Fair is held. It's the best and most fun way to show every man they need what you got. Seriously, by showing them. Bring your best stuff, show it off, and have a blast. For more info on being a vendor at the Man Show, go to ComoManShow.com.
From the trainers to the coaches, the equipment managers to the players and fans, it takes a whole team to be truly successful. Hi, this is Sophie Cunningham, and if you're looking for the best team of jewelers in Columbia, it's Betts. Their staff has years of experience handcrafting jewelry, and when you combine that with the newest technology, it gives Betts Jewelers the ability to truly wow their customers. So talk to the team at your hometown jeweler today. Betts Jewelers in downtown Columbia.
These beautiful moments begin at Betts. Begin at Betts.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis. Only $59.99 guaranteed or your money back. Stop smoking without cravings, irritability, or weight gain. That's right. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all. Also lose all the weight and let Mark Patrick Hypnosis destroy unwanted cravings. Hypnosis Tuesday, February 3rd at the Capitol Plaza Hotel and Convention Center in Jefferson City, or Wednesday, February 4th at the Holiday Inn Columbia East in Columbia. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 8 p.m.
They can't shoot it straight on the golf course, but they can shoot straight on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Back to Andy and Brendan on The Big Show on KTGR.
Give us your take on Josh Pate's take on the college football calendar. Got some good responses on the text line from that. I get that it is a condensed calendar and it should make sense. There is a lot that needs to happen for everyone to be on board with it. But that's why we need a commissioner, I suppose. So we'll see. But I guess having everything condensed into January 1st makes us all better about how the season should lay out. People are still going to watch, though. Bunch of people watched it on Monday night, even though it was late. So we'll see. All right. This is an interesting tweet here, Brendan. Ryan Butler covers all things sports gambling. Missouri regulators will not ban individual college player prop betting, denying an NCAA request. Officials said they will continue to evaluate, may consider future action. Last month, Missouri became the most recent state to launch legal sports betting. What's your take?
So the NCAA requested this, and obviously now would be a good time to do it because Missouri just legalized. So like, hey, let's try to get in front of this. And they voted unanimously, the Missouri Gaming Commission, 3-0 to deny the request. So Jan Zimmerman, who is the chair of the Gaming Commission, said it's important for us to be as educated about this as we possibly can, and I don't feel like I am there. That does not necessarily surprise me because I saw some previous stuff from her where she didn't really seem to understand what the rollout was going to actually look like. A little bit concerning since she's the chair of the commission. But yeah. I do understand that, like, kind of letting it wait and see how the dust settles. I will say this, like, if you were to look on most college games, football or basketball, you're not really getting much anyway from very many of these apps, if any, as it is. You know, I noticed it after the NBA stuff went the way that it did with that scandal during the season, that the next weekend for college football, even for like Mizzou games, and it wasn't legalized yet, but I was even noticing it from some of the major operators, they now had team rushing yards instead of individual rushing yards. I think I understand why the NCAA has made this request. Kind of okay with the fact that Missouri has denied it. Missouri Gaming Commission has denied the request, but I also think that they're going to be cracking down on this stuff anyway, because I think there's just that great unknown of how much more easily could college-aged athletes be impacted by some of the things that we've seen go on, more so than even, professionals at the NBA level, NFL level. So I think it is kind of interesting, but I'm maybe not too surprised that they're like, I don't know. We're going to leave it the way that it is for right now. But I don't think it's going to be that tangible of a difference. Like national championship game, you did have some player props that were out there for sure. But that's like the biggest game. Most games throughout the season, you just don't really have those offerings anyway. So I'll be kind of curious to see if that's just temporary. The sports books are kind of like waiting for the hoopla to die down and maybe they offer it again. But it is something that we'll have to keep an eye on.
Interesting that Missouri just went ahead and said, no, we need to learn more about this. Like, okay, let's not act too much like the newbies here.
No, she's a newbie when it comes to this, but she runs the gaming commission.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. Mizzou Women's Hoops coverage coming up at 6:15. We're back tomorrow at 4. He's Brendan. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
Caesars Sportsbook is the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. Bet on gridiron action and earn perks on every